always had this weird feeling about the basement in my house. It's not that it was particularly scary or anything, just off-its. It's always been one of those places I'd avoid unless I absolutely had to go down there. But the thing is, the door was never locked. My parents kept it unlocked for easy access to the storage and the laundry. So, for my entire life, that door was just a normal door. Until that one night, it changed everything. It was late, probably past midnight. I was heading to the kitchen for a glass of water when I passed the basement door. And I stopped dead in my tracks. The door was ajar, just a crack. Cold air was seeping out from the gap, and it carried this really distinct smell. Too. It wasn't the usual damp, musty scent of a basement. This was different. It smelled like freshly turned soil, like wet dirt after a heavy rain. I could have sworn I'd closed that door firmly earlier in the evening. I always did. It was a habit. Seeing it open like that, my stomach twisted. Against my better judgment, curiosity got the best of me. I pulled out my phone, switched on the flashlight, and pointed the beam into the darkness. The light barely cut through the gloom. I pushed the door open a little more. The hinges didn't creak, which was almost creepier than if they had. It was just a silent, dark maw waiting for me. I took a deep breath, telling myself I was being ridiculous, and started down the wooden steps. Each step I took felt amplified in the silence. The air grew colder, and the smell of damp earth got stronger. The stairs seemed to go on forever, way longer than I remembered them being. It felt like I was descending into something much deeper than a simple basement. When my feet finally hit the concrete floor, I swept my phone's light across the room. My heart hammered in my chest. The basement looked wrong. It felt larger. The shadows in the corners deeper and more menacing than usual. Boxes and old furniture were stacked in configurations I didn't recognize. It was as if someone had been down here, rearranging everything. Then, I heard it, a soft scratching sound coming from inside the walls. It was rhythmic, persistent. My first thought was mice, or maybe a raccoon had gotten in somehow. I called out, "Hello!" hoping to scare it away. My voice sounded small and weak in the cavernous space. The scratching stopped instantly. Complete and utter silence descended again, heavier this time. My skin prickled. This wasn't an animal. Animals don't stop on command. I swept the light around again. Slower this time, my hand trembling slightly. My beam landed on something in the far corner that made my blood run cold. It was a wooden chair facing the wall. A simple, straight-backed chair. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that we did not own that chair. I had never seen it before in my life. Why was it here? And why was it facing the wall? Marlight crept up from the chair to the concrete wall in front of it. My breath caught in my throat. The wall was covered in scratches. Long, deep gouges in the concrete, like someone had been dragging their fingernails down it, over and over and over again. The marks were frantic, desperate. I could almost feel the pain and terror that must have gone into making them. Just then, my phone's flashlight flickered. Once, twice, then it went out, plunging me into absolute darkness. Panic flared in my chest. I fumbled with my phone, trying to turn it back on, my fingers clumsy and shaking. And that's when I heard it. A loud, deafening slam from behind me. The basement door. It had been slammed shut. My flashlight suddenly flickered back on, but the beam was weak, pathetic. I spun around and pointed it towards the stairs. They were gone. Not physically gone, but the top of the staircase was swallowed by an impenetrable darkness that my light couldn't pierce. It was like the way out had just vanished. I was trapped, A new sound reached my ears, and it terrified me more than anything else. Breathing. It wasn't mine. It was slow, ragged, and wet. And it was close. So close. I frantically swung my light around the basement, trying to find the source, but there was nothing. Just the rearranged boxes, the empty space, and that horrifying chair in the corner. Then a voice whispered, coming from the direction of the chair. It was raspy, dry, like leaves skittering across pavement. It said, "You finally came down." My eyes shot to the corner. The chair, the one that had been facing the wall, began to turn. It moved slowly, deliberately, all by itself, until it was facing me. It was empty. But as I stared, paralyzed with fear, footprints began to appear in the thick dust on the floor. One by one. Starting from the chair and walking directly toward me. I didn't scream. I couldn't. All I could do was run, tune, and sprinted blindly into the darkness, away from the approaching footsteps. I crashed into shelves, sending boxes and their contents flying. I stumbled over things I couldn't see, my only thought being to get away. I clawed at the walls, searching for the stairs, for any way out. Then, as suddenly as it had slammed shut, the basement door flew open. A sliver of normal hallway light cut through the oppressive dark. I didn't question it. I scrambled on my hands and knees toward that light, crawling up the stairs faster than I'd ever moved in my life. I reached the top, slammed the door shut behind me, and collapsed against it, gasping for air. My body shaking uncontrollably. I stayed there all night, too terrified to move. When the sun came up, I finally got the courage to check. A delay. I opened the door, just a crack, and peeked in. The basement was normal. The boxes were where they should be. The air was just a little musty, not like wet earth. And the chair, the scratches on the wall, they were gone. It was like nothing had ever happened. Everything was clean, orderly, and exactly as I remembered it. Except for one thing. On the outside of the basement door, there was a brand new heavy-duty bolt lock. It hadn't been there before. Taped to the door, right next to the lock, was a small, folded piece of paper. With a trembling hand, I took it and unfolded it. 5 words were scrawled on it, in a jagged, hurried handwriting I didn't recognize. It said, "Do not come back down." If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more true-style horror stories. Thanks for watching.